Okay.
Quinton Zondervan. Quinton is an incumbent city councilor. He was born in Amsterdam, I believe. I remember that. He's a climate activist, and I worked with him on the climate congress 6 years ago, and he's running for a fairer and more just Cambridge for the many, and not just the wealthy many, the wealthy few. Welcome, Quinton. And I would like to start out with you with the same question that I started with Kathy with, which is this: that we are a neighborhood association, the Mid Cambridge Neighborhood Association, and what are your views on how the city should work with neighborhood associations when making decisions and drawing lines on maps through those neighborhoods, lines such as bicycle routes or zoning boundaries?
Right. I think the city does not do enough to reach out to the neighborhoods and work with the neighborhood groups to, make sure that these changes are really working for everyone and working in the best way. So, I mean, all the city does is, they keep a list of the neighborhood groups on the website, and they barely do that. So, it's a struggle to keep to get them to just keep that list up to date. So we're hiring a new city manager next year, and these are some of the many priorities that we'll be asking the new city manager to look at and to say, how can we do better? Because at the end of the day, it's up to the city manager to do that.
Do you think that the city did an adequate job in working with the neighborhood associations in formulating the cycling safety ordinance, or do you think we can do more, or do you think more needs to be done in that area? Because we have four major routes going through Mid Cambridge.
And before
Right. I mean, the answer is
someone has asked that you speak up, please.
Oh,
Me? You want me to speak up?
Quinton.
Oh, Quinton.
Sorry, 1 second. Let me look at my audio. Yeah, it's on the maximum. I mean, the answer is no on anything. In terms of outreach, the city does a terrible job. So no, they need to do more. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. So you're a systems thinker, I know, Quinton, and one of the things that Cambridge is wrestling with is a shortage of housing, and it's a lot of pressure to build more housing. The housing supply and the stock in Mid Cambridge has been about the same for more than 20 years. There hasn't been a lot of building here. Do you think we should be doing more? Or do you think we're in the sweet spot now? And what about our neighborhood conservation district? Because I think there's some pressure to get rid of it, and it's been one of the main things that's kept our neighborhood from being stuffed in the past.
Right. I don't support getting rid of conservation districts. I don't support massive upzonings for market rate. I think for affordable housing, we should be building on the corridors, Mass Ave, where we have lots of single-story buildings. We can put a lot more housing density there that connects to the transit nodes. But I don't think it makes any sense to put pressure on the neighborhoods to add density.
Thank you. Now you've been a leader on tree protection, protecting trees. How do you think that's working in Mid Cambridge? And do you have any sense of that, or is that making a difference?
I think it is. I mean, certainly, I remember last term, Jan and I were getting texts and phone calls all day long about trees coming down, and since the moratorium, that has calmed down a lot, which I think is a good indication that these protections we've put in place are working. Now, of course, we did just permanently amend the tree ordinance and remove the moratorium and put in place a payment scheme and discounts for replacement trees. And so it's probably a little too early to tell um, whether or how well that's working. But I will definitely be chairing another Health and Environment Committee meeting next term, assuming I'm reelected, to check in on that and see how we're doing.
And what are your priorities for small businesses, for supporting small businesses? We have some Mid-Cambridge is well served by local businesses that are being threatened, but that are I think they're under some pressure from the losing parking, commercial parking. We've had that in Inman Square and Mass Avenue and Cambridge Street.
Right.
What can we do to keep going?
Right. One of the solutions that I'm going to be prioritizing next term is to implement free shuttle services in Cambridge, fare free, and the idea is to have shuttles circulating through the neighborhoods and the business districts and connecting to the major transit nodes, so that people don't need to depend on cars to get to and from their homes or small local businesses.
Okay, that's a novel. Yeah, I haven't heard that solution before, but could certainly help get people in and out of the squares. That's your idea. Yeah. Mid-Cambridge is a walking neighborhood. A lot of people walk to the squares, but shuttle would help some, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think we're out of time. I think we're almost at time now for our next speaker. But thank you for joining us, Quinton. And enjoy the rest of your evening. Our next